How long have you been studying English? Has it been a few months, a year, maybe even 5 years or more? Be honest with yourself. During this time, have you ever felt that despite all your hard work, despite studying diligently, memorizing grammar rules, and collecting vocabulary lists, you still find it difficult to speak fluently? Do you sometimes feel frustrated because the words you've learned seem to disappear the moment you need them? And here's another question. Have you ever been in a situation where you know you've studied this specific topic before, but when it's time to speak, your mind goes completely blank and you freeze? You've got all the knowledge in your head, but somehow it doesn't come out smoothly when you open your mouth. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common struggles English learners face all over the world. And it's not just beginners, intermediate and even advanced learners experience it too. You may spend hours reading, doing exercises, watching videos, and taking notes, yet when you try to have a real conversation, it feels like you're walking through mud. Your brain feels slow, your tongue feels heavy, and every sentence feels like climbing a hill. You start a sentence, you pause, you hesitate, you search for the right word, and suddenly you lose confidence. That moment, my friend, is what stops many learners from making real progress. But here's the good news. This can change. In today's episode, we're going to explore fluency in a way you've probably never heard before. I'm not going to give you boring theory that you forget the next day. Instead, I'll share practical, real-world techniques you can use immediately to make your English flow more naturally. You will hear examples you can relate to, you'll learn exercises that actually work, and I'll give you specific challenges that, if you take them seriously, will help you speak English faster, smoother, and with more confidence than ever before. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And trust me, progress is within your reach. Before we start diving into these techniques, let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was living abroad, learning another language. I had studied for months, practiced writing, read books, and even listened to the radio every day. I thought I was ready for real conversations. Then, one afternoon, I met a native speaker and decided to talk. I started speaking, and after 2 sentences, I completely froze. My mind went blank. I could feel my face turning red. I knew the words, I had studied them, but in that moment, under the pressure, it was like my brain locked the door and threw away the key. I smiled awkwardly, tried again, stumbled, and eventually gave up. That moment felt awful, and I remember walking away thinking, maybe I'm just not good at this. But later I realized that moment wasn't a sign of failure. It was a lesson. I wasn't bad at the language. I simply hadn't trained myself for real-life speaking conditions. I hadn't practiced under pressure. And that's exactly why today's episode exists. I want to make sure you never feel stuck like that again. I want to help you understand fluency, not just what it means, but how to build it step by step, both physically and mentally. By the end of this hour, you will know what fluency really is, why you might be struggling with it, and most importantly, exactly what you can start doing today to make a real difference in the way you speak English. So, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's start this journey together. When most people talk about fluency, they usually mean one simple thing: speaking a language well. In everyday conversation, if someone says, "She's fluent in English," we automatically imagine a person who can speak with ease, who has a good vocabulary, and who sounds confident. And yes, that's part of it. But the real definition of fluency is more specific. and understanding this difference can completely change the way you approach learning. Fluency doesn't just mean good at English. It means being able to speak smoothly, naturally, and without long pauses or constant hesitation. It's about the ability to produce language in real time without stopping every few seconds to think about grammar, search for words, or rebuild your sentence from scratch. It's the flow of your speech that makes people think, wow, this person speaks well. Here's something many learners don't realize. Fluency has two sides, and you need to work on both if you want to speak confidently. The first side is physical fluency. This is the part where your mouth, lips, tongue, and vocal cords need to produce English sounds quickly and smoothly. If your mouth isn't used to the rhythms and sounds of English, your speech will always feel a little clumsy, even if you know all the grammar rules. Think of it like learning to play the piano. You might know which keys to press, but if your fingers can't move fast and smoothly, you won't be able to play a song without stumbling. The second side is mental fluency. This is all about your brain's ability to find the right words, organize them in the correct order, and build sentences quickly. Mental fluency is like having a well-organized library in your head. You can walk in, grab exactly the book you need, and be out in seconds. But if your mental library is messy, you'll waste time searching for the right word, and those extra seconds are what create awkward pauses in your speech. So physical fluency is about how fast your mouth can produce English sounds, and mental fluency is about how fast your brain can find and arrange the words. Both are essential, and here's the key. If you only work on one side, your fluency will always feel incomplete. Let's do a quick exercise right now to make this real for you. I want you to think of a very simple sentence in English. It could be something like, I like coffee. Easy, right? Now, I want you to challenge yourself to say that same idea in 5 different ways. For example, I love drinking coffee. I enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning. I can't start my day without coffee. Coffee helps me wake up. I'm a big fan of coffee. Notice what's happening here. You're taking one idea and expressing it in multiple ways. This simple activity trains both your physical and mental fluency at the same time. Your brain is learning to quickly find alternative ways to express a thought, and your mouth is getting practice producing different combinations of sounds smoothly. I like to compare fluency training to sports and music because the similarities are striking. If you play basketball, for example, you don't just study the rules of the game. You practice dribbling, passing, and shooting until your body reacts without thinking. You don't stop mid-game to think, should I dribble with my right hand or my left hand now? Your body just knows what to do because you've practiced enough. The same is true for a musician. If you play guitar, you don't pause during a song to slowly place your fingers on the strings. You've trained your hands to move automatically to the right chords. Speaking English fluently works the same way. You can't pause every few seconds to look up the right grammar rule in your mind. You need that instant reaction, that automatic flow, and you can only get it by practicing both the mental and the physical sides of fluency until they work together naturally. When you understand fluency in this way, it stops feeling like a vague goal and starts feeling like a skill you can actually build. You realize it's not about being perfect, knowing every single word, or sounding like a native speaker. It's about building smoothness, speed, and confidence step by step. And just like with sports or music, the more you train, the better your performance will be when it matters most, in a real conversation.
One of the biggest reasons English learners hesitate to speak is not a lack of vocabulary, not grammar mistakes, and not even pronunciation. It's the feeling of pressure. The moment you know someone is listening, the moment you realize you have to produce a sentence right now, something changes in your body and mind. Your heart starts beating faster, your palms get a little sweaty, and suddenly it feels like your brain is working twice as hard just to do something that felt easy when you were alone in your room. This, my friends, is completely normal. It's a natural human reaction to speaking a foreign language under real conditions. But here's the thing. You can't eliminate this feeling completely. You can only get used to it. And that's the key. Stop waiting for the day when speaking English will feel 100% comfortable. That day might never come, and the sooner you accept that, the faster you'll improve. Think about it like this. When you go to the gym for the first time, lifting weights feels heavy, running on the treadmill feels exhausting, and your muscles are sore afterward. But if you keep showing up, something magical happens. You still feel the effort, but you stop seeing it as a problem. You expect the discomfort, you accept it, and you work through it. The same thing applies to English conversations. Instead of seeing pressure as an enemy, you have to train your mind to see it as part of the game. Let me share a personal story that I think perfectly illustrates this. For me, one of the most intimidating things in any foreign language is making a phone call. I don't know why, but I find it more stressful than speaking face-to-face. Maybe it's because on the phone I can't see the other person's facial expressions or gestures. I don't get those little visual clues that help me understand. Everything depends only on sound, and if I miss something, there's no way to guess from context. I remember when I was living in Russia and learning Russian, I would do almost anything to avoid making phone calls. I would walk to a store in person just to avoid calling them. Later, when I lived in China and studied Chinese, guess what? Same story. I hated phone calls in Chinese. And now, as I study Greek, you can probably guess the pattern. I still don't enjoy phone calls. The interesting thing is, after years of language learning, it's not that the feeling has disappeared. I still feel that little rush of nerves every time. The difference is, I've learned to accept it. I no longer think, oh no, this is too scary, I can't do it. Instead, I think, okay, this will be a bit uncomfortable, but that's fine. I can still do it. This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful. When you stop fighting the discomfort and start expecting it, you remove half of the stress immediately. The other half? That's where practice comes in. You need to expose yourself to situations that make you slightly nervous on a regular basis. If you're shy about speaking, you might start with small, low-pressure conversations, a quick hello to a shop assistant, asking a stranger for the time, or commenting on the weather to a neighbor. These moments might seem tiny, but they're your training ground. Every small victory builds your confidence and teaches your brain that you can survive these situations without falling apart.
The truth is, intimidating situations are actually the best opportunities to grow. Think about a musician who only plays songs they've mastered perfectly. They will sound good, but they will never improve. Real progress comes when you step into a slightly uncomfortable zone, where you're not 100% sure of yourself, but you push through anyway. Every time you do that in English, whether it's giving an opinion in a meeting, asking a question in class, or introducing yourself to a group, you're building the exact skills you need for real fluency. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That all sounds nice, but in the moment, my nerves take over and I can't think clearly. That's why I want to give you a practical exercise that will help you prepare mentally before these situations happen. It's called mental simulation. Here's how it works. Choose a situation that usually makes you nervous in English, maybe ordering food at a restaurant, making a phone call, or meeting someone new. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in that exact situation. Picture every detail, the environment, the sounds, the people's faces, even the smell in the air. Then imagine yourself speaking clearly and confidently. Hear yourself saying the words in your mind. Visualize the other person responding positively, smiling, nodding, and understanding you. This might sound a bit strange, but mental simulation has been used for decades in sports psychology, public speaking, and even military training. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined scenario and a real one. That means you can practice situations in your mind and make them feel more familiar before they happen in real life. The more you do this, the more your brain begins to recognize these moments as normal, not dangerous. And when your brain feels safe, your body stays calmer, your thoughts stay clearer, and your English flows more naturally. Here's how you can apply this exercise in a structured way. Each morning or evening, take 5 minutes to imagine one real-life English interaction. Go through it in your mind from start to finish, what you'll say first, how you'll respond to a question, how you'll end the conversation. Don't imagine it going perfectly every time. Sometimes imagine making a small mistake but still continuing smoothly. That's important because fluency isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about continuing to communicate even when things aren't perfect. If you combine this mental simulation with real-life practice, you'll notice a big change. You'll still feel that little spark of pressure before you speak, but it won't paralyze you. You'll recognize it as a familiar feeling, just like an athlete recognizes the adrenaline before a big game. And instead of running from it, you'll step into it with the knowledge that every conversation, no matter how uncomfortable, is another step toward real fluency. So, the next time you feel nervous before speaking English, remember this. That nervousness is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. Lean into it, accept it, and use it as your training ground. Over time, you'll discover something amazing. The situations that once terrified you will become the ones that make you feel most proud of your progress. And that, more than anything, is the moment you'll know you're on the path to true fluency. Physical fluency techniques. Speed reading and songs. When most people think about improving their English, they focus mainly on learning more vocabulary or memorizing grammar rules. Those things are important, of course, but if you want to actually speak more fluently, you need to train your mouth, your tongue, your lips, and your breathing, just like an athlete trains their body for a sport. Speaking is a physical skill, not only a mental one. And that's why in this part, I want to share with you two of my favorite techniques for building what I like to call physical fluency: speed reading and using songs as training tools. These methods don't just improve your pronunciation, they improve your speed, your rhythm, and your overall comfort when speaking. Let's start with speed reading. This is an exercise where you take a piece of text, maybe a short article, a paragraph from a book, or even a transcript of a video, and you read it out loud as quickly as you can while still keeping it clear. The goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to push your limits. Imagine you are training in the gym and you want to increase your running speed. If you always run at the same comfortable pace, your muscles will not adapt. But if you challenge yourself to run faster, even if you get tired or make mistakes, your body starts learning to move at that higher speed. The same thing happens with your mouth and your brain when you practice speed reading. Here's how to do it. First, choose a short text. It can be something fun, something you enjoy, because the more interesting it is, the more energy you'll have. Then, grab a timer. Your phone's stopwatch works perfectly. Read the paragraph out loud one time, but at your normal pace. Look at the timer and note how many seconds it took. Now, here comes the challenge. Read the exact same paragraph again, but this time try to beat your time by a few seconds.
You will probably feel your tongue stumbling or your brain trying to catch up, but that's exactly the point. You're forcing your speech muscles and your brain to work faster together. If you repeat this process a few times, you will notice something amazing. After pushing yourself, your normal speaking speed will feel easier and smoother. Now, let's talk about the second technique, songs. Music is one of the most powerful tools for learning a language because it naturally trains rhythm, pronunciation, and speed without you even realizing it. When you sing along to a song, you are doing what native speakers do, connecting sounds, reducing words, and following the natural stress patterns of the language. Plus, music is emotional. It sticks in your memory. You might forget a grammar rule, but you will never forget the lyrics of a song you love. If you want to use songs as a fluency workout, here's my recommendation. First, choose a song that matches your current level. If you are a beginner, don't start with rap or super fast pop songs. Choose something slower and clearer, maybe an acoustic song or a ballad. If you are intermediate or advanced, you can challenge yourself with faster pop, rock, or even hip-hop tracks. Second, listen to the song several times without singing. Just pay attention to how the singer connects the words and where they put emphasis. Third, get the lyrics in front of you and try to sing along slowly, almost like karaoke practice. Finally, once you feel comfortable, sing along exactly at the original speed, even if you make mistakes. The point is to keep going and train your brain to match that natural flow.
I also suggest creating a personal fluency playlist. This is a collection of songs that you love and that challenge your speaking speed. You can mix different styles, maybe 2 or 3 slow songs for warm-up, and then a couple of fast, energetic ones for pushing your limits. The idea is similar to a workout in the gym. You warm up, you increase intensity, and then you cool down. Now I want to give you a little live exercise you can do right now. Take this short paragraph and read it out loud while timing yourself. Every day is a new opportunity to practice your English. You can read, you can listen, you can speak, but the most important thing is to do it regularly. The more you push yourself, the more natural it will feel. Okay, read it once at your normal speed. Stop the timer. Now read it again, but try to do it 2 seconds faster. You might stumble on a word or two. That's fine. The important thing is that you keep your mouth moving. Do it again and again until you feel your speed increasing. This is how you train your speech muscles for real fluency. By combining speed reading and singing, you are giving your brain and mouth a double workout. Speed reading pushes your mental processing and pronunciation speed, while singing trains your rhythm, intonation, and sound connection. Together, these techniques build the kind of fluency that feels natural, effortless, and confident. And the best part? They're fun. You can practice them anywhere, at home, in the car, or even while walking. The more you enjoy the process, the more progress you'll make without even noticing it. Mental fluency techniques. Learning in chunks. One of the biggest invisible barriers that keeps English learners from speaking naturally is not vocabulary size, not grammar rules, not even pronunciation. It's the silent habit of translating everything in their head before they speak. This habit might feel harmless, but it's like walking through life with a 5-second delay button in your brain. You hear something in English, you quickly switch to your native language to understand it, then you switch back to English to respond. By the time your sentence is ready, the conversation has already moved on. And worse, you feel frustrated, as if English will always be this slow, heavy process. The truth is, if you want to speak fast, you have to think fast. And that means cutting the translation step out of your mental process entirely. So why does translating mentally slow you down so much? Imagine you're playing a sport, maybe basketball or football, and instead of reacting instantly to the ball, you stop, look at a rule book, read the instructions, and then move. By the time you act, the opportunity is gone. Language works the same way. In conversation, people speak in bursts, phrases, expressions, complete thought units, and if you're still decoding every single word, you'll always feel one step behind. That's why fluent speakers, even when they speak in a second language, don't think word by word, they think in chunks. Ready-made, reusable combinations of words that roll off the tongue without conscious effort. Now, breaking the translation habit doesn't happen overnight. It's a bit like switching from riding a bicycle with training wheels to riding freely. At first, it feels risky, unstable. You might fall and make mistakes, but every time you force yourself to operate without that safety net, your brain gets faster, stronger, more automatic. So instead of telling yourself, I need to memorize thousands of individual words, you shift your goal. I need to memorize hundreds of chunks. These chunks are not just vocabulary, they are real, living pieces of language that you can plug directly into conversations without having to build sentences from scratch. Think about it. Native speakers don't say, I want plus to plus go plus to plus the plus supermarket as separate calculations in their head. They just have, I want to go to the supermarket as a single unit. And that's why they can speak so quickly. They're stacking pre-built blocks, not gluing tiny bricks together. When you learn this way, you bypass translation entirely because your brain recognizes the whole phrase as one package. Let's take a practical example. The phrase, I'm going to, is incredibly versatile. You can say, I'm going to travel next week. I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to start a new job. I'm going to stop eating sugar. Once you own the chunk, I'm going to, you can swap the ending infinitely without hesitation. That's why chunk learning is powerful. It's like learning a whole family of sentences in one shot. Let's do a live exercise right now. I'll give you the base chunk. I'm going to. Take a moment and create 5 different endings for it. Don't overthink. Just say them out loud or in your head quickly. I'm going to study tonight. I'm going to buy a new book. I'm going to start running again. I'm going to meet my cousin. I'm going to clean my room. See? That was fast. No translation, no grammar analysis, just plug and play. And you can repeat this with so many chunks. Would you like to? I don't think. It looks like. I can't believe. Each of these is a ready-to-go tool in your conversation toolbox. But how do you actually remember these chunks so they become automatic? This is where a little brain science comes in. Your brain is like a garden. If you plant a seed and never water it, it disappears. If you water it every single day, it grows. But if you water it strategically, just before the plant starts to wither, you make it grow even stronger. That's the principle behind spaced repetition. Instead of repeating a phrase 50 times in one day and forgetting it by next week,
You repeat it a few times today, then again tomorrow, then in 3 days, then in a week, then in 2 weeks. Each time, your brain says, "Oh, I guess this is important," and the memory sticks deeper.
Here's a step-by-step strategy you can start using tonight. Step 1. Choose 3 chunks you want to master. Let's say they are "I'm looking forward to," "I've never been to," and "Do you mind if I?" Step 2. Write them down in a notebook, and for each one, create at least 5 example sentences. Step 3. Say them out loud multiple times with different endings until you can produce them without thinking. Step 4. Review them tomorrow, then 3 days later, then a week later, adding new chunks slowly. This keeps your brain in active recall mode, which is the magic ingredient for fluency. And here's the beauty of this approach. You start noticing chunks in everything you hear. TV shows, YouTube videos, podcasts, even songs. You'll begin to hear phrases like, "at the end of the day." "The thing is," "you know what I mean?" And once you notice them, you can steal them. Yes, steal them. That's how all great language learners work. They collect useful chunks like treasure hunters, then polish and use them until they shine in their own speech. So stop obsessing over translating perfectly. Stop freezing in conversations because you can't find the right word. Build your arsenal of chunks. Practice them in different contexts, repeat them using spaced repetition, and trust the process. The more chunks you have, the less you'll translate, the faster you'll speak, and the more confident you'll feel. Remember, fluency is not about speed reading a dictionary. It's about building a mental shelf full of ready-made phrases you can grab instantly when you need them. And the next time someone asks, "How did you become so fluent?" you can smile and say, "I stopped thinking in single words. I started thinking in chunks." That's the shift that transforms hesitant learners into confident speakers. Practical speaking drills you can do alone. One of the most common questions I hear from English learners is, "Peter, how can I actually practice speaking if I don't have anyone to talk to?" And my answer is always the same. You don't need another person to start improving your spoken English. In fact, some of the most effective speaking practice you can do is the kind you do completely alone, with no one watching, no pressure, and no fear of making mistakes. This kind of solo practice builds your confidence, sharpens your pronunciation, and helps you develop the reflex to speak faster and more naturally. In this part of our session, I'm going to walk you through 3 powerful drills you can do anywhere, anytime. Shadowing with videos and podcasts, the one-sentence story technique, and quick-fire question and answer drills with a timer. These aren't just random exercises. They are proven methods used by language learners all over the world to develop fluency faster than you might imagine.
Let's begin with shadowing. If you've never tried it before, shadowing is a technique where you listen to a native speaker talking in a video, podcast, or even a movie, and you try to speak at exactly the same time, matching their words, rhythm, and tone as closely as possible. You don't wait for them to finish and then repeat. You speak along with them, almost like you're their echo, but without a delay. At first, it feels strange and even impossible. You might feel like you can't keep up,
like the words are flying out of their mouth too quickly for you to grab them. But with practice, shadowing forces your brain to process English in real time, without translating, and it trains your mouth and tongue to move in the exact patterns native speakers use. This is why it's so effective. You're not just learning the vocabulary, you're learning the music of the language. To start, pick a short video or podcast, maybe just 30 seconds to 1 minute, and shadow it multiple times until you can match almost every word. Don't worry if you miss a few. Over time, as you push yourself with longer clips, you'll notice your speed, clarity, and confidence improving dramatically. Now let's move to the one-sentence story technique. This is one of my favorite drills because it combines creativity with fluency practice, and it's incredibly flexible. The idea is simple. Start by telling a story that is just one sentence long. For example, yesterday I went to the park. That's it, just one sentence. But here's the magic. You then expand the story little by little. Next, you might say, yesterday I went to the park to read a book. Then, yesterday I went to the park to read a book because I needed some quiet time after a busy morning at work. With each step, you're adding details: who, what, where, when, why, how, and by doing this, you're practicing not only vocabulary, but also grammar, sentence structure, and storytelling skills. This technique forces you to think in English while building your ideas naturally, without jumping to translation in your head. It's also incredibly satisfying to see how a simple idea can grow into a rich, detailed narrative. You can practice this with any topic: a trip, a memory, a dream, even something completely imaginary. Finally, we have quick-fire question and answer drills with a timer. This is all about speed and reflex. One of the biggest problems English learners face is that they can answer a question, but they take too long to think of the words. This delay often comes from translating in their head or overthinking the grammar. Quick-fire drills train you to respond instantly, even if your answer isn't perfect. Here's how to do it. Set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes and prepare a list of simple questions like, what did you eat for breakfast? What is your favorite movie? Or, what are you going to do tomorrow? Then, try to answer each question as quickly as possible. No pausing, no second guessing. If you can, record yourself and listen back to see where you hesitated or got stuck. Over time, reduce your thinking time until you can answer instantly. You can make it more challenging by asking yourself random what-if questions, or more abstract ones like, what would you do if you won the lottery? Or, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be fast, natural, and confident.
These 3 drills, shadowing, the one-sentence story, and quick-fire Q&A, can easily become a daily routine. You could spend 10 minutes on each, or even just 5 minutes if you're busy. The important thing is consistency. If you shadow every day, expand stories every day, and push yourself to answer quickly every day, your speaking skills will grow faster than you might expect. You will notice that you're thinking less in your native language, your words flow more easily, and your pronunciation starts to sound more like a native speaker's. And the best part?
You don't have to wait for a speaking partner, join a class, or even leave your room to start practicing. Everything you need to become a more fluent speaker is already in your hands: your voice, your mind, and a few simple tools. So my challenge to you is this: starting tomorrow, commit to doing at least one of these drills daily for the next 30 days. Keep a journal of your progress. Record yourself regularly and celebrate even the smallest improvements. Because in the end, fluency doesn't come from just knowing English. It comes from using it over and over again until speaking feels as natural as breathing. And with these drills, you have no excuses. Your fluency journey can start right now, exactly where you are. Let's take a deep breath together, because this is the part where I want to leave you with the strongest possible push to keep going. You've just spent time learning techniques, exploring strategies, and discovering tools that can help you improve your speaking skills. But none of this matters if you leave it here in theory. Remember this: fluency is not something you are born with, it's something you build through consistent, deliberate practice. It is not a natural gift reserved for a select few. It is the result of showing up day after day, speaking, making mistakes, learning from them, and trying again. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to be good right now. You just have to keep moving forward, step by step, word by word. Fluency is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows only when you use it regularly. So here's my final encouragement for you. Speak English every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you are talking to a friend, to your phone, to your reflection in the mirror, or to a podcast that doesn't even know you exist. What matters is that you're actively using the language. Those small daily moments add up faster than you think. 5 minutes a day for 1 month is over 2.5 hours of speaking practice. That is powerful, and it's exactly the kind of steady progress that turns hesitant learners into confident speakers. Don't wait until you feel ready. Read this carefully. You will never magically feel ready. You become ready by doing. Every time you speak, you are creating readiness.
That's why I want to give you a very specific challenge for this week. I call it the 3 Chunks Challenge. Here's how it works. Choose 3 chunks, short, useful phrases that native speakers use naturally in conversation, and make them your mission to use them at least 5 times each in real conversations or speaking practice over the next 7 days. They could be simple expressions like, "You know what I mean?" "Here's the thing," or "That's a good question." Write them down. Keep them in your pocket, or set them as reminders on your phone. The point is to make them part of your active vocabulary, not just words you recognize when you hear them. By repeating them in real speech, you're training your brain to access them instantly when you need them, without hesitation. The beauty of this challenge is that it's small enough to be realistic, but powerful enough to make a big difference. You're not overwhelming yourself with endless grammar rules or massive vocabulary lists. You're focusing on something practical, something you can actually use right now. And by the end of the week, you'll notice those chunks slipping into your speech without effort. And that's exactly the kind of automation you need for fluent conversation. Think of it as planting 3 seeds. This week, you water them by using them over and over, and soon they'll start to grow into natural, confident speech patterns. So here's my heartfelt message to you. Don't wait for the perfect moment to speak English. Create it. The perfect moment is not out there waiting for you. It's right here, right now, in every choice you make to speak instead of staying silent,
to practice instead of procrastinating, to create opportunities instead of hoping they will appear. You have more power over your English journey than you realize. You are not just a passenger in this process. You are the driver. And every time you choose to speak, no matter how small the step, you're steering yourself toward fluency. If you can carry one thing from this session into your week, let it be this. Fluency is not built in giant leaps, but in small, consistent actions. 5 minutes today, 3 chunks this week, a little courage to try again tomorrow. That's the real secret. Start now. Keep going, and watch yourself grow. Your future self will thank you for the decision you make today. Now go out there, speak, repeat, and keep building your English muscle. The moment is yours. Create it.